All right, we'll get and call a meeting to order. It's Tuesday, May the 20th. And we're here to discuss the recruitment and services for our city administrator. Before we get started, I want to hear from the council. We talked, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. We talked a lot about going with a firm, and that was kind of the direction we wanted to go. I do remember one of the tasks we asked you to go to Bay County and check out Bay County, see what they were doing. I've worked with the city administrator for the last week and a half, gathering all kinds of information and trying to put together what we could. We've also had conversations to invite Mr. Ryan here today. Before Mr. Ryan gets started, and you've all seen his options, there's a list of four options. That doesn't limit us, that's not where we're at. Where we were at, we talked about hiring a firm. So as he starts to go over the options, we may want to switch. So we're going to have some conversation at this table from all the council people which direction we'd like to go. So with that said, can we go to the table? Do you want to start with Bay County and see if there's anything?
I contacted 4 cities in Bay County, and the best they came up with was governmentjobs.com and employeeflorida.com. That was suggestions.
Is that what they use?
Well, yeah, that's the only response I got from, and that was from Parker.
Any other case?
No, I spoke with Mel, and obviously I wanted to hear from Mr. Ryan. I read over this thing, and speaking with Mel, I think Mel's got a lot to discuss.
No, just wait. I've read both packets that were prepared for us. I know which way I'm leaning, but I want to get everyone's input.
Like Eric, I reviewed, the packet. Also had a conversation with Mel and got a little insight from him, and I'm actually interested to hear the comments from Mr. Ryan.
Absolutely. So there was a lot of information that went out, and if we all read it all, we know where we're at today. There was a lot of information. So let's go ahead and get started then. And our first appearance, Mr. Ryan. So come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for coming today.
You're welcome. For those that don't know me, I'm Mark Ryan. I'm a retired city manager, having managed 3 cities in Brevard County, Florida Space Coast, for over 40 years, and I now reside in Tallahassee. Some of you remember that I assisted the community in the charter review process about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And you have a wonderful community, and enjoyed working with the Charter Review Committee and the staff is phenomenal. And I think you brought forward some charter amendments that we were pleased with, and so we were very blessed with having completed that project. I'm a volunteer senior advisor. I'm appointed by the Florida City County Management Association as a senior advisor. There's 8 of us in the whole state of Florida. That we help communities, we help managers, we provide counseling, mentorship. We help communities with small communities with recruitment. But I think more importantly is that our association recently published a city manager search guide, and I hope you've had an opportunity to go through that. It's a very good resource for what you're going through. It provides you with the options that I shared in the memorandum. It provides lists of executive search firms that operate here in Florida. It provides sample employment agreements, and is a very useful tool through the process that you're about to enter. I outlined in my memorandum that there are, in my opinion, and the guide's opinion, 4 options for the community to consider. The first option is to handle the recruitment internally. The second option is to utilize an executive search firm. Again, some of those firms are listed in the search guide and in the exhibit to provide you with all the firms that operate here in Florida. I also shared with the mayor and the interim administrator, the city of Titusville went out for a request for proposals for an executive search firm for their new manager. Selected, I think they got 8 firms that replied to the request for proposal. They were ranked by the staff. There were 3 members of staff, the public works director, the HR director, and the community development director that ranked the firms. And they selected Colin Benzinger and Associates, which is a firm that I believe you all have expressed some interest in utilizing. So with the concurrence of your purchasing policies and the city attorney, you could conceivably piggyback the Titusville request for proposals and negotiate a price with Colin Benzinger Associates as an executive search firm. Or conversely, you could go out to bid for proposals from the 6 or 8 firms that responded in Titusville. So if you wanted to expedite that process with the concurrence of the city attorney and your purchasing policies, you could piggyback that option. The advantage of the executive search firm, in my mind, is they have a network of folks that they have dealt with in their recruitment, so they know some of the key players that are currently available. They also would reach out to some of their contacts and say, hey, there's this great opportunity in Mexico Beach. Take a look at this brochure that they will create for you and encourage folks to apply. So that's an advantage using the executive search firm. The other advantage is they also do the background checks, which is critical to what you are looking for, that you make sure that not only do they pass the criminal background checks, but do the deep dive. You know, where are the skeletons hidden that may be surfaced with a particular candidate? These executive search firms will help uncover those items and give you a report concerning their backgrounds and their activities. The third option is to utilize the senior advisor program. As a senior advisor, what I would do is I work with staff. We would create a brochure to market your community, because you're marketing Mexico Beach to get people to apply and come to the community. We would have you fill out questionnaires. Or what are you looking for? What's your ideal candidate? Similar to what the executive search firm, they're also going to do that. So then we would prepare a brochure, we would have ideal candidates, and we would advertise with the ICMA, Florida City County Management Association, Florida League of Cities, and other type of entities that are available to you. Then those applications, if we are utilized, what I do is I create a master list of all the applicants. I review them, and I quantitatively, not qualitative, quantitatively score them and give you a list of what is highly qualified candidates, qualified, and others, because there will be others. And it is up to the council to then determine from that list who they would like to have background checks performed. I mean, notice I said background checks, not interviews. The last thing you want to do is bring someone here for an interview and have some hidden problems before you invite them. You need to know up front. So we would give you that list of highly qualified, and others. You could choose from any of them to bring or to have the background checks performed. And then once they're performed, you would say, we want to invite Mr. Smith, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Cobb, whatever, and come to the community for interviews. Now, both the advisors and the executive search firms operate very similar, and that they would help do that process, but the executive search firm is probably going to say, here's our recommended candidates. I am not going to recommend a candidate. I'm just going to tell you who's qualified, who's highly qualified, and the others. And then, you know, similar process will be handled in both situations for interviews. Most times, the executive search firms will offer to the community to have a social event for the community to interact with the candidates the night before. we would do the same. Additionally, we would offer an opportunity, the executive search firms would, to have the candidates do a round robin, one-on-one with council members, 45 minutes to an hour, so that you get a better feel outside of the stringent public forum question interviews. But you still must do that. That's required by law. You can't just do a one-on-one. You have to do a public meeting interviews. So. And then you would proceed. The third option would be a hybrid of myself working with the staff in terms of the internal review process. So that's the options in a nutshell. I've currently just finished a recruitment in Monticello, and I'm beginning a recruitment in Madison. So, and I may be, after I get to a meeting today in White Springs, maybe helping them find an interim manager. Questions for me?
Mr. Ryan, we're a little bit unique. We're going to a firm because we haven't been successful in doing what we're doing. So with these other ones that you work with, are they using a firm and you're working with that firm also, or are you just doing it on your own?
No, Monticello, I was the senior advisor guiding and working with the staff. I helped create the ideal candidate profile, worked with the staff to create a recruitment brochure. Again, you are marketing your community to these applicants. You want to get them to come and want to be here as your next city administrator. Again, we created the list of highly qualified, and others, and the council was involved in determining who to do the background checks and who to ultimately invite for interviews.
The firm actually does a lot of that up front, a lot of that stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah, the firm, if you select a firm, they're going to come and they're going to do the same thing that I would do, and that'd be have you fill out a questionnaire. What are the attributes you're looking for in your next city administrator? What does he or she want to look like? What are you looking for? Are you looking for someone that's going to be innovative? Are you looking for someone that's hands-on, go-getter? Those types of things are going to be asked of you to create this brochure of what you're really looking for as the next city administrator. And then they're going to then market that. They will collect the resumes, not the city. Okay? So they would then collect the resumes and they would give you their ranking of these are their recommended candidates. I don't do that. I'm not going to sit here and recommend Mrs. Smith over Mr. Jones. They could both be very highly qualified. And it's just, you know, all we're going to do is look, are they qualified? Are they highly qualified or other?
My side of it, I guess I'm listening and I just don't, I'm not sure if, there's obviously a value in you because of the knowledge and experience that you have. So we could use that by maybe when we start to get a little bit more into I see it as we're more into the process, we want to give you a call and talk to you about some things.
I can't speak for the executive search firms,
Yeah.
but I would suspect they would not think highly of that you're hiring them to do that.
Correct. Correct. But you'd be okay, I guess, is one of the options for you to be involved in the beginning and then us hire a firm, or is it hire the firm and you're not involved?
I would be hesitant to being a part of the process if you've hired a search firm. That's their role. You've
Okay.
hired them to do that.
That's,
I don't want to compete. I'm not here to compete.
right. That's what I was trying to get there. Maybe, okay.
Just, this will come up a little bit, but here you say the the background checks, if we went with the senior advisor, you got an estimate of $2,500 per candidate?
Yes.
So what's your general, what have you seen, how many candidates would come forward? Is it 2, 3?
Let me share with you my recent experience with Monticello. Monticello started off with doing background checks on 5 candidates. 2 of them dropped out before they got far along. They chose not to use the professional background checks. They chose to just use the police department review that just tells them whether they've had speeding tickets or have a criminal background. I recommend it to them, and I'll recommend to you. Google's your friend. Google your candidates.
Yeah, I'm not just gonna bleed over into the firm covers that.
But the firm's also gonna do a good deal.
Yes, yes, so I'm just looking at
Yes.
monies. Okay.
I actually got 2 questions. The option you discussed, option 3, where you all would run with the ball, so to speak, versus a private firm. What, is there a timeline variation typically for your group versus an executive search firm? And then I have a follow-up.
I think the search firm is gonna be able to get through the process quicker if you're in a hurry. They're gonna do an excellent job, I guarantee you. I think you'll be pleased with whoever you choose. What I will do again is work with Mel, work with Tammy and your staff to also create a brochure to market your community. I'll give you examples of the community that I retired from, Indian Harbor Beach, so you could use that as a sample guide template. I mean, plagiarism is kind of a little form of flattery that you can certainly use that. And so you want to market the community, you want a good profile of what you're looking for. And then you need to also make sure your job description's up to date and that your salary range is competitive with the communities that you're competing against.
Okay, and then to follow up something you said early on, and give me like 1 or 2 or 3 keys. I mean, I'm impressed with your longevity to be able to spend the length of time you did in so few cities. So what do you think the keys for an administrator manager to be in, having a long time in a seat like Mel has?
Yeah, it's interesting you would say that. I recently did a podcast for the City Managers Association, and during the podcast, we talked about what are some of my success stories, what are some of my keys, and communication was number 1. You've got to communicate with the elected bodies daily. One of the things I'm very proud of is I borrowed an idea from another community and created what we call Friday Fastbacks. And we publish this every Friday, a little snippet. This is what's going on in the police department, this is what's going on in the fire department. Maybe some little pictures of the public works department repairing the flagpole at XYZ Park. Just little bits of information so that when you as elected officials go to the grocery store, go down to the hardware store, and someone says, hey, what's going on over here on Smith Street? You'll know. You don't have to say, I don't know, I have to get back to you. You'll have some little snippets of knowledge. So communications was the number 1 aspect that I shared with my future colleagues and folks that I'm trying to mentor. And the other thing was a little bit of sense of humor. You gotta be able to laugh sometimes,
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Nothing for me. So I don't have any questions. I just want to publicly thank you for this well-crafted, detailed memo. I don't have any questions because you put everything in here that I would have wanted to consider, whether we go with an internal search firm, whether we go with an external search firm, or whether we do it internally, or whether we have the hybrid option where we partner with you. So thank you for all this.
Just looking through all the information that we have, and knowing the past and how we have, searched for city administrator, and we've not always been so successful, obviously, but anyway, to me, what seems most intriguing is the search firm proposal from this one particular company, Colin I don't even know how to say that last name.
Alan
but-
Benzinger.
Yeah, okay. But, you know, to me, what was intriguing, they gave us a set price. They have a wonderful warranty. If it doesn't work out within a year, you know, they would repeat the search for the same amount of money. They have a lot of things that they're gonna follow up on things if it doesn't work out. And I like the fact that they have a set price. And then if, you know, they do say if something else came up, they would have to charge a little bit more. But this way we know what we're dealing with. And a lot of things that you're covering, they're mentioning in their proposal. So that sounded like a really, maybe a different way for us to do it, but it might be more successful than the efforts we've had in the past.
Again, they're an excellent firm. I've worked with them in the past. They recruited for Titusville when I was manager in Titusville to replace me. So I've actually, in my career, advertised or applied for positions that they were recruiting for.
Okay,
So, excellent firm.
good to know.
Any other questions from Mr. Ryan?
I think after speaking with Mel, I think I'm ready to, I think Mel's got a lot of knowledge for us to digest.
How about anybody from the audience have any questions for Mr. Ryan? No, we're good, thank you. Well, thank you, sir, appreciate you coming. And by all means, I know you have another appointment, so whenever you're ready to. speak
I've
out
got
loud.
time. I don't have to be away Springs till 5.
Okay.
All right, good deal. All right, so we're back at the table here, and there's been a lot of information over the last couple of weeks that we've read over and we've seen. I hate to say there's a great opportunity, but I see it as an opportunity, and I'm thankful for it. I think there's an opportunity with the piggybacking policy that we have, to be able to piggyback with Titan and go with the Benzinger Collins. And that would probably be my my suggestion. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything to say?
Well, yes, sir, in section 30.01 of your code, there is an exception to public bidding for piggybacking public contract procured under Florida law within the past 365 days. So that exists, that authorization exists, and then in section 18 of the purchasing policy manual, you have a section on piggybacking contracts, which goes through and it identifies the things you have to obtain from the other agency, such as a copy of their solicitation, their awarded vendor submittal, the contract with that vendor, a letter from the awarded vendor offering to honor the same prices if you were looking to do that, and verification from the other agency that the vendor is performing satisfactorily. So those criteria on top of the ability to do it, which you have to authorize by a majority vote of council. So if you're going to do it, you would first authorize it by a majority vote, assuming it meets that 365-day window, and then you would go through the process in section 18 to get that information.
Okay, so based on that, our city administrator's done some work in that area, went over that. So Mel, could you update us as far as our ability to do that?
Certainly. Luckily, the city of Titusville has gone through this process as recently as February when they released the bid. So in answer to the requirements of Section 18 of our procurement policy, we need to have a copy of the other agency's solicitation. I have it right here. I have their addendum number 1. I do have a copy of the awarded vendor submittal, which is right here. I got the other agency's contract expiration date. It is right there. I did not include a letter from the awarded vendor because the proposal that we've been getting is under the price that they had charged Titusville. So 34 something according to our 32 something. And the last item, something from the vendor about their performance. And I contacted Leslie Rothering from the city of Titusville, and she says that the HR team is very pleased with CBA's services. They are providing services requested in line with their proposed schedule. And last, I did include their score sheet in case anybody wanted to review that. So I think we've complied with the requirements of the procurement policy.
So the ability to piggyback is really very valid, and it's a good situation for Mexico Beach, I believe. That's the direction that I would suggest we go, and I'd like the input of the council.
Yeah.
No.
Sure, okay, so I tend to agree. One of the things that stood out for me from Mr. Ryan's memo, which again, I really appreciate his diligence in laying out all the options that are available to us, as well as advantages and disadvantages. One of the things that stuck out to me about going with the senior advisor role, either working with him directly or having the hybrid option where we work for the city, is I highlighted right here. The question you must ask is how much time your staff can dedicate to this process. So I believe we have very dedicated city staff, but they're very busy, and this is a task that I think if it can be performed by a competent outside agency for what I consider a reasonable fee, I think this is a benefit to our own city employees to just take this effort and take this worry off of their hands as they continue to do their great work. I think we've already mentioned that the way we've done things in the past, probably need to do something a little bit different. I don't want to criticize how we hired previous city administrators. I think they were the reasonable choices at the time. But I think it sounds like we're all in agreement that we want to do something different. And so with the ability to work with this external search firm, we've all read their packet. They seem not only competent, but we're getting validation from outside sources that they're a great firm to work with. Timing is right now to be able to piggyback off existing work that they're doing with a different community here in Florida. To me, this is by far the best choice that we have here, is to go with CBA and their reasonable fees, I think. And so one of the bonuses I like about going with this, with an external search firm, much less CBA in particular, is that Mr. Ryan suggests that they could have this done in 6 weeks. And that's probably a negotiable thing, but I think speed is something that we want. Not that we don't want Mel here because he's doing a great job as an interim, but I think we want to get this open quicker. So that's my recommendation.
They do mention like 90 days as a maximum. Any other input?
I pretty much feel the same way as Eric.
Same. And after I was concerned about a bid process and everything, but I spoke with Mel, and of course he just explained everything. I was concerned we were going to have to burn up a few weeks or more trying to put this out there. And now Mr. Ryan being here has confirmed this firm. And obviously they've worked with Titusville. They just come off of that contract. So I'm definitely in.
Agreed.
With that said, I mean, it looks like we've already given them an acronym of CBA, so that's a good thing. They're buddies now. Instead of using our full name, right? There are some things we'll have to have discussions with them. I want to make sure the council's okay with me staying in contact with them. And as you start to put the contract together, I'll have a conversation with them if that's okay.
But Mayor, I think you need to have a vote, though, because it requires a majority vote.
Yes, sir. So, if that's okay, we'll go ahead and go to the table and look for a motion to go with CDA for the search firm.
I make a motion that the City of Mexico Beach hire Colin Basinger and Associates as our external search firm for the next permanent city administrator.
Well, maybe suggest that you indicate that you are piggybacking on the Titusville process and contract and going with CDA.
Okay, I amend my motion to that we piggyback off of the existing City of Titusville process and contract to go with Colin Basinger and Associates as our external search.
Second.
Motion and second, take a roll, please.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Fasagi?
Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Wolf?
Yes. All right, thank you. That portion is closed. Normal adjourn right now, but we do have a little bit of an issue I want to talk about. We have a meeting on our council, the regular council meeting on the 27th. I'll be gone on the 27th of surgery, and Ms. Hamilton's gone. So you do have a quorum of 3. Do you want to still move forward with the meeting, or do you want to move it?
I would, my opinion, I would like to see more than just 3 at the table. I mean, I would like to move it.
Yeah.
So it's up to, so when is, I don't have my calendar.
The 27th is Tuesday, so you
Yeah.
have to do Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Well, Miss Hamilton said,
I'll return on, the afternoon of 29th, so maybe the 30th, that
I'm
Friday.
gonna have surgery on the 29th, and I'll be out 29th and 30th, so. nothing-
I'll see you
My surgery is probably different than yours.
but then we don't know how really long
there. Yeah, but she's,
she'll be back. When is the next Tuesday, when is the June?
It'd be
June
June
10th.
10th.
or if you do the 3rd, right?
We could
We
do the
could
3rd.
do the
I
3rd.
mean, do we need, or, I guess we should,
There's some things on the agenda that are coming
Need to
up
be.
that need to be discussed, is that not true?
And luckily, we tried, knowing of this impending issue, we've kind of kept the items somewhat light. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't proceed with what we got.
Could we make that happen on the 3rd?
Are you talking morning meeting, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I could do that.
Mr. Cobb, could you give me that?
Works then.
Yeah, I'm free morning, June 3rd.
We're gonna move that meeting to June 3rd.
we're gonna move it 1 week out.
And be a 6 PM meeting or a 9 AM meeting?
9 a.m.
9 AM.
June 3rd.
So we'll cancel our 27th, excuse me, cancel the 27th, add on June the 3rd, 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
Only thing I'd like to add is let the public know how we're gonna pay for this.
Certainly, you can get it.
Sure. Our budget, the current budget in which we are in right now, we did put in a $50,000 amount for a JLAC consultant as a result of the findings of the JLAC findings. We are handling that in staff, and so we do not need that $50,000. So it'd be appropriate to repurpose that money towards this $32,500 from Colin Benzinger. And then the remaining money between $32,500 and $50,000 would be what little attorney's help we'll need during that process of our staff JLAC.
And that's
That's where we
all
get
under
it.
JLAC capital. Is that it, sir?
That is it?
Anything from the council before we adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.